welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with P. Bush.
Mhm.
Hopefully, Zoo is on standby. How you doing, P. Bush?
I'm doing all right, man. I was telling you before, man, absolutely brutal fantasy weekend, losing 3 matchups by combined less than 15. I haven't had that much heartbreak, man, in fantasy in a long time. Could have made a couple decisions, but none that stuck out to me as like poor management. I just for people that don't know, I don't know if I mentioned it on any previous, but I had
Uh,
Burrow on the bench and I had Jalen playing. I was teetering between the two for weeks, and
yeah,
I couldn't stay away from the nuke, and I think that foot injury really set him back on just going for it. Because honestly, Sean, in a game that's close, that's usually when Josh Allen takes over and at least
yep.
gets one or two passing/rushing touchdowns. But I think he was just playing it a little bit safe. And hey, man, for real football purposes, by all means do that. But come on, man, you're getting his worst fantasy for performance since his rookie year, man. That's just absolutely brutal. But on the other hand, the Bears beat the Packers, and one of the craziest games, actually two of the craziest back-to-back games we had on Thursday night last week with that Rams Seahawks crazy ending, that 2-point conversion, the backwards pass, that was all weird, and then
Yeah.
Bears getting an onside kick. And once they got the onside kick, Sean, I'll tell you right now, I knew they were going to win the game. It's just the way that their season's been going. It's like the Chiefs last year, not comparing them to the Chiefs, but just how they were winning games. It was one of the most heart-racing games I've watched in Chicago sports. I'll keep it at that. So huge win, man. We control our own destiny to run the North and potentially a top 2 seed.
Yeah, man. Sports weekend wise, I think it was just starting with that Rams Seahawks game. It's just there was a lot of commotion and a lot of discussion on that backwards pass. And which is actually funny going into Sunday, watching after the Bears had that basically walk-off touchdown catch by DJ Moore. It would have been kind of funny to just watch the reaction after that Steelers and Lions game, just to see how basically it was past OPI, but the fact that after that Jared Goff somehow ended up with the football and got into the end zone, like that would have been basically one of the biggest plays of the year, and in terms of just momentum of the playoff picture as well, as we're going to be talking about the Lions later. But
Absolutely.
It's just a lot of it feels like the prelude or the pregame to what's going to be maybe a very fascinating playoff picture for the NFL. So right now we're going to kind of get into that and discuss one of the teams that I think everybody on this podcast and most fans who are not Jaguars fans have been doubting. And some people could look at their record and be like, that doesn't make any sense. How are you doubting the Jacksonville Jaguars? But it's like we're kind of looking at a lot of the players on the team and kind of some of their wins. And it just doesn't feel like they have like sometimes you'll be watching games that says game control. It just feels like, do they have that? Which ironically enough, if you watch the Broncos game, they had a lot of game control aspects
Against a good team.
That one. Yeah, against a very good team. So I kind of wanted to get P. Bush's thoughts on where do you see the Jags in terms of the confidence, let's just say 1 through 10, to make a run to the Super Bowl. Where do you fall on that meter?
You made a good point because 11-4, I think they are.
Yeah,
Second seed right now. They do have the opportunity, I believe, to take over the first spot. Man,
crazy.
I'll halt my T-Law hate for a week. All right, that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I've been a hater of Trevor Lawrence on this podcast for years, mostly because of just the inflation of his contract compared to his performance. Even I would say through their bye week this year, we all agreed that even though they were winning games and we were like, oh, they're 5-3 or whatever. The Colts were hot at the time. We were very high on them with Daniel Jones when he was at the helm before his injury. But they just kept going, man. And he's been producing. Now, he hasn't been like impeccable this year. And I think a lot of people, you could argue, they have a very similar schedule, trajectory, toughness in the division, maybe a little bit less, but kind of like the Bears, man. They're 11-4, man. Like, it is what it is, right? They beat the teams in front of them. I'd say the Jags definitely have a better defense. They're more dominant defensively. The running games on both those teams are very similar. The quarterback play has been, up and down, but they have those pop games. They make big big throws, big runs, especially very similar with Caleb and T-Law. So I'd say these are kind of the two teams. I know one of them's my team, and I love to talk about them, but I'd say the Jaguars are in a very similar state. And I know we're going to talk kind of the playoff picture, but both of these conferences by week 16 being finished are pretty much established. I mean, there's like the AFC North has something to figure out, right? The Steelers are pretty much like win one game and they're in. Doesn't even matter when they face the Ravens in week 18, potentially if they beat the Browns this weekend. And then, you got the Chargers pretty much locked in with the Broncos as well. And then the AFC South could have a little bit of movement. But other than that, the AFC is pretty much locked up. It's just going to be a seeding thing. So looking at that team, I think the Jaguars struggle with the Patriots. I just do.
For sure.
I think they struggle with them. And it's not because their offense isn't worthy. They've been very lucky. That was a hell of a trade for Jacoby Myers. Let's be honest, because Brian Thomas Jr. They already extended Jacoby Myers, and rightfully so. He's been balling. Brenton Strange, who you and I, Sean, have enjoyed watching the last few weeks. There's my man Zoo. We're talking about your Jaguars, man.
Dude, I'm on West Coast time zone, man. Completely forgot.
You're good, dude. You're
so good.
We're talking.
We just started.
Jaguars. You just missed the opener. But I do think. But at the same time, it's like the Broncos. They just beat them, right? The Patriots, like I already said, they're the real contender in the AFC. The Bills, I can't say that the Jaguars are going to beat the Bills like outright. I mean, the Bills' defense has been pretty good, especially against the pass defense. But Travis Etienne is a focal point, man. And Trevor Lawrence in the red zone as a rushing threat is huge. And he's finally got a couple of receivers that are catching the ball. Parker Washington has been an absolute monster for him in certain games. So I can't say I'm that confident. I'd probably say about a 5 out of 10, and more so just because I think it's really a toss-up between who's the second best team in the AFC. I'd say it's the Patriots. And then you're talking about the Bills, Broncos, and apparently now the Jaguars. I'd toss in the Texans there too, because I do think and I meant to say that's the other team I'd be concerned about if I'm the Jaguars, and more so because of familiarity, being a division opponent. And they did beat them, and CJ Stroud's looked a lot better. I know they struggled against the Vegas Raiders, but they're just playing with house money, and Ashton Genty decided to show why he was supposed to be a top 10 pick in fantasy. So, the AFC is interesting, but I just can't give them a shoe-in, but I can't put them at a 1. I do think they're a very strong team, and they're hot right now, which you have to take into account as well.
Not gonna lie, the Jaguars, I don't get this team, man. I remember I was on the bandwagon, I went off the bandwagon, and I'm back on the bandwagon again because Trevor Lawrence started playing extremely well. Trevor Lawrence, like, I don't know, him as a rusher in the last couple of games, like no interception. I remember my biggest gripe with Trevor Lawrence was the number of turnovers this guy did, but last couple of weeks, this guy's been 12 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Like, that's impressive. And as you mentioned, the rushing, he's doing a lot of rushing. As I would know, like, Trevor Lawrence cost me in one league. I played against him, drop a 30-piece, and it was over after that. So, like, he did put in a lot of work that game, and he's been very, very productive, like, statistically and just based on the eye test. It's just the lack of turnovers. Like, my biggest gripe with Trevor Lawrence has always been turnovers, and now they get the division pretty much secured now with the fall of the Colts and Danny Dimes being injured, and Texans still lurking over there, but the Jaguars winning the division, I'm like, wow, this is what I expected, but this is not how I imagined how they go. But I got to give the team props. I got to look at the receivers, as you mentioned. Like, it's not been the Brian Thomas Jr. show like I thought. Like, he's kind of the receiver 3, huh? Like as you mentioned, Parker Washington's been more productive. Jacoby Myers has been more productive. Obviously, Etienne, even as a receiver, has been very, very productive this year. So a lot of stuff not projecting out for this roster, but the number of wins is pretty impressive. Like, right now, like, go for 11, 12 wins. I'm like, that's really, really impressive for a season where, like, this is obviously a weaker division, but they have a stranglehold on it. So, man, this Jaguar is definitely a very bipolar team, but they really turned the corner right now where they're stacking up some
Liam Cohen
wins right now. Yeah, he's a good coach. He's a very good coach. So I've been impressed with their turnaround, even though it's been an up and down season, but I think it's been the story of Trevor Lawrence turning his season around, because he looked awful in the beginning of the year, and now he's just
And they were still winning. That was where we were.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't winning because of him, but some of these last couple of wins, they're winning because of Trevor Lawrence now. Like pretty much the last couple of games where I'm just like, wow. Because some of those throws was like, whoa, it's a nice looking throw right there. So Trevor Lawrence makes some big plays. So I got to give props to him from having a slow start, but being able to have the mental toughness enough to bounce back and becoming a productive QB this season and not getting carried by his defense and special teams. So yeah, like T-Law's. Oh, fantasy-wise, too, he's like, wow, he erupted for some games, like 40 points, 30 points. So his
got him in Dynasty.
Rushing, like that is very, very impressive for mentally being the bounce back from that. Because if you have a slow start that could knock you out for the entire season. So he was mentally tough enough to bounce back from that.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence just showed a lot of mental toughness. And it's kind of like most scouts when they're looking at guys coming out in the draft, it's like Trevor kind of still out of, I don't know, the last, let's just say 10 years, he's been one of the, I would say, top 10 quarterbacks in terms of just skill set and his skills in terms of like how he can throw the football, his athletic ability within the pocket, his athletic ability running down the field if he's in open space. He's always just been one of those great athletes. I think sometimes I would almost say, and I'd hate to be the person, be like, oh, I'm inside of players' head and I know what they're thinking in moments of, tough times when you're in the flow of the game. But like, I think some of his stuff kind of was just mental, where it's like the physical skill set is there. He had ebbs and flows, but he just sometimes I feel like he could put it together. And I think that was maybe mental. And how we always talked about with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Well, I think Liam Cohen has been a really big part of Trevor's development, because I remember hearing about Liam Cohen and seeing him a little bit when he was at Kentucky, I think with Mark Stoops, and then he kind of just went to the NFL and became, I don't know if he was an assistant or if he just became a head coach, but part of the reason why I think his ascension was so fast is because he's really good on offense and quarterbacks. And two, like, not only with Travis Etienne has become a totally different player. Now, some would say he was injured last year, and that's kind of the reason why he slowed down, but it just feels like with Trevor now taking a little bit of a step, they're just a balanced attack. And they don't matter who you are in the NFL. If you can have, your bell cow running back or two so-so running backs who are really good at just leaning forward, like say like a tandem like the Panthers have, or even the Bears, like just having that presence of a run game is just going to do wonders for your quarterback. And also too, with the defense, they're taking advantage of making a lot of, I guess you would say, turnover-worthy type plays, and they get a lot of turnovers. And Trevon Walker, quiet as kept, he was one of their, was he a number one overall pick? Or was he like a top 2 pick? I can't remember. He was a high pick. He wasn't number one. Because they took him over Aiden Hutchinson. I remember everybody was like, what the hell? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Which still, what are you doing? Because if Aiden Hutchinson was on this team and he was healthy, I think the ceiling would be even higher. But I would kind of want to put them in like a step above 5, 6.5, 6, just because I do think if you're just looking at the AFC, like, and I give them a 6.5 only because of just what happened this last weekend, because that is it kind of just doesn't get talked about because, again, it's Jacksonville. Like, if that would have been Houston that did that or something, I think there's a lot more people that be like, oh my God, like CJ Stroud just went into Denver and smacked them, like, they're coming. But I don't know, man. That takes a lot of it takes a team that's focused and like ready to be like, okay, it does not matter if no one gives respect. We're just going to take it.
Yep.
And I think that type of confidence going into the end of the season is going to be critical, because I just look at the playoff picture just as right now. It's like, I actually disagree. Like, I think they could get the Bills because I don't trust the Bills defense, and they're too Josh Allen dependent. Like, the only thing I would give, James Cook is very good, but that defense is stout enough to where I think they could handle that. Now, I'm with you with I think they would lose against the Patriots because I just think scheme-wise, they probably have Trevor and Nuts or in Fitz. I just think that would be crazy. And I also think Broncos, obviously, if it's a real playoff game, I think they get them.
A rematch.
Chargers is weird because, like, Herbert, I know
Herbert gets his get back.
I don't know.
Revenge.
Maybe. That's more of a toss-up. So it's like, I think the Bills and, like, say if, Steelers or somebody else, Texans, one of those two teams get in, then for sure, I think the Texans would be the Texans is just, I think, a bad matchup for anybody because of the defense. So it's just not even a Jags problem.
Agreed.
The defense is too elite. Like, it's just, they're going to bother most teams in that division. So, or not division, but on that side of the bracket. So I give them a 6.5 chance to make a run because it's obviously one of those ones where if they win that first playoff game, then it's like Vegas odds shift heavily in favor because it's just now that momentum's out of control. I think because again, like there's a real possibility that Denver's going to not real possibility. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed. Bo Nix, I'm starting to come around to like, okay, I think he's better than what I keep trying to say he's just average. I think he's better than average, but it's still him. And playoffs get weird. And if you got a team that's as balanced as they are, again, it always comes down to Trevor fits the profile of like what you would want in a starting franchise caliber quarterback. And if he gets in that moment and has confidence, then it's just the bigger, stronger, faster athlete usually prevails. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think we always give Sean Payton credit with Bo because I think we think Bo is he is, I think, lesser talent. Like he's
for
not
sure
as talented as
Trevor.
But Liam Cohen has done a great job. Because last year was a disaster, and the beginning of this year was a disaster. So I don't know, man. We got to give sometimes coaching in pro sports for me. It matters
for the boys.
Coaching
Sean
matters.
They're plus 600 to make the Super Bowl. The Jaguars.
What are the Texans? Can you look? What are the Texans?
That's a good question.
I might
log
pop
into
FanDuel.
The Texans.
I already placed my Bears Super Bowl bet.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I did not.
I'm about to say, dang, got it.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Let's see. But yeah, dude, he's been cooking, man.
Yeah.
Gotta
give him props. But it's
Trevor, CJ coming back from the concussion. All of them have they all been playing at a not super high level, but a high enough level to where they could look up and because think about all the teams in the AFC, like all of them have
greats
really
are falling.
good quarterbacks.
Yeah, a lot of the greats have fallen. They're going to be out of the playoffs or they're injured.
And these
they dropped to 500 since this morning. Now the Texans are 600 ahead of the Chargers.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah,
wide
open.
open.
Broncos as the favorites with the Bills almost tied. They're all between. It goes Broncos 380, Bills 390, Patriots 400. It's actually pretty tight.
Interesting. So
I think it's all about matchups. It's going to be matchups.
Whoever's at the longest odds in the NFC.
Wow.
Actually, they're tied with the Packers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
Packers got no shot now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the Packers, man, just if you're a fan of football, you don't even care about the teams. Like if you're just watching Saturday Night Football, NFL, after those dud of playoff games that they had in college, you turn on the game and you're just watching the Bears and Packers rivalry, and you're just seeing the back and forth and then the onside recovery and then the game winning touchdown. It's just like that's great football to watch, and you kind of feel it as if you're in the proximity of a Bears fan, like man, like you feel a huge relief come off your shoulders because it's like, bro, it's like we finally beat the Packers in a big moment, and you can kind of just see the momentum going with the Bears. So now on the flip side, it started last week with all the devastating injuries that the Packers have, and now you're kind of looking at a space where you're battling with the Lions, and it's just like, Zoo, I wanted to ask you a question more so about just with these two teams, I guess the playoff spot, I guess who do you think is going to get that spot? I mean, it kind of feels like it's been, I don't want to speak for you, but I mean, what do you think in terms of those teams? Lions and Packers, who do you think could get that last spot?
As a Packers guy, I don't feel good at all. Because first of all, I lost my defensive guy, Micah. And now Jordan Love's in concussion protocol. Like it might be the Malik Willis show for this next week. So like you're looking at the leader of your offense and the leader of your defense banged up right now. And Josh Jacobs is kind of banged up too. Like I think they're downplaying his injury. They're like, oh, he was benched because he like fumbled. No, I think he's actually very hampered right now. So like as much as like Manuel Wilson can come in and put up some numbers, he's no Josh Jacobs. So you're losing one of your best weapons too, potentially offensively right now. So the injury bug has really caught up with this football team where they kind of went all in with the Micah Parsons trade. You put all your chips in the middle, and it just looks like you just lost the hand right there. Like you think you got a straight in your hand. It's like, oh, you still lose your hand right now, and it's over right now. Because I'm like, the amount of injuries right now that are coming in, and on top of that, losing to the Chicago Bears in the fashion like that, where I was just like, oh man, like dude, we don't even have our quarterback and we take him. I was gonna talk so much shit, and then I was like, well, Wait, overtime? Oh no! Oh, Caleb? Whoa, DJ! Oh,
I had the Venmo ready to go, Zoo.
dude. I know. Like I had a pre-sale. I was like, man, I'm a 2-0 sweep. Like I was like, are you kidding me? Without the quarterback too? Are you kidding me? Because that was a nice was it to Romeo Dobbs, as I remember? Yeah, it was Romeo Dobbs. And I was like, oh wow, just rolling. This is like it's kind of just the history of these two football franchises. But I was like, Jesus, we don't even have our quarterback right now, and Josh Jacobs on the bench, and we still winning. We still winning. But when that overtime, and I saw that Caleb throw, I was like, wow. Got to give you props. Like this is the difference right now, where you got a number one pick, where obviously he had a slow first start, but that talent is elite. And when you make a throw like that, I was just like, that was a beauty. Like I think I told you, like in my mind the whole time, I was like, is that Colston Loveland? Is that Colston Loveland? Because I started him at tight end. I started him at tight end over Travis Kelce, and I was like, oh, that guy's too short.
He still scored more than Kelce.
Oh yes, so it was still the dub decision, but. My goodness, like I gotta give him props. I gotta give Caleb props for making that throw. I got DJ Moore props for kind of bouncing back. Like he had a really slow start back, with obviously with the injuries right now with Adunze. Like he needed his other guys to step up, and they stepped up and beat a Packers team where they had them pretty decisively. Like majority of the game they were in control of the game, but coming back and obviously in overtime, getting that touchdown. It's not a field goal. Like that was a definitive win, getting that touchdown. That's a
they wanted
play.
that.
Yeah, that's a big time play right now. Like no shame in that. Like I was like, man, give me that $20 back after the Chiefs let me down. I'm like, the Packers taking care of the bet. That's my safest bet in the history of the NFL. And they couldn't close the deal. Like even though Malik played pretty well, he played
better than Jordan Love.
Like he
did.
He was 9 for 11.
He looked efficient as hell.
He was 9 for 11 for 121 yards and a touchdown.
And the fumble was not his fault. That center.
No, that's not. I'm like, I don't even think about that. Like he had 14 carries, and Emmanuel Wilson had 14 carries for 82 yards. So the backups came in and were very productive. So it's like. I got a shout out Willis. I forgot this guy's a great rusher, man. Like 10
he's
carries,
a good runner.
10 carries for 44 yards. I'm like,
he can do something. I think that's
exactly. Exactly. So like, I think they played pretty well until the end, and obviously they couldn't close the deal. So for me, the Packers, it's kind of over for me. Like this year, like the amount of injuries that riled up first half of Micah's, I think that was just no Super Bowl. No Super Bowl. After no Super Bowl, after you go all in, I think the team's kind of just like, okay, we can still try and make some noise, but I think the back of their minds, like, we don't really have a shot. We don't really have a shot to win a Super Bowl with this roster because we lost our best defensive player. So for me, Packers have no chance. Wow, the Lions, that game, that was a pretty crazy game. And the offense is not as good as last year's offense. That's one thing I have to say. Like, in the amount of times they used Montgomery in the rushing game, like, it has been the Gibbs show a lot more. But I feel like the two-headed attack, what they did last year was a lot more impressive, and the offense looked a lot better. But, yeah, like, both these options are kind of tough. I was leaning slightly Lions over the Packers. I feel like Packers just got zero chance.
Wow.
Zero chance to make noise. That's for me. And, like, when you come with championship expectations – the bar is raised, and they have not delivered on that. I have them easily win the division. Obviously, that's not looking good right now with the Chicago Bears.
11-4, baby.
Which is, I'm like, God, this is the weirdest 11-4 team ever. But I got to give them props that like they're mentally tough and they're able to come back in these games. And that throw is a beauty. I have to say that throw was a beauty.
Aaron Rodgers-esque.
Yeah, it was a beauty, and I'm like, okay, they finally got a guy that can actually make big time throws. So, props to them. Props to you making that money line picking the Bears, because I was pretty confident on the Packers. I was like, okay, easy bet for me. Even with the injury, that's how confident I was. Even with the injury, I had that mental edge and the historical edge, but they were able to sneak it past at the end. But props to Chicago Bears for having a terrific, and Ben Johnson. Like, I gotta say, it's like coaching matters, man. He got them believing.
It does.
Yep.
I'm
sorry, like Eberflus, that guy has zero charisma. He got zero leadership. Like, he just cannot like get these guys to do what they do. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, with the Steelers beating the Lions, that knocked the Lions' chance out of winning the division. Like the Bears could lose out, and it is possible. They're playing at San Francisco. That's not an easy game.
Tough game. Good offense.
And then they got to play Lions. They do play at home, and we know how Jared Goff can be in the cold weather. He's a Mr. Dome guy, Mr. LA. You know, that was his vibe, obviously growing up, and then obviously when he first started in the NFL, and then he got to go to Detroit. So, I mean, that game, it obviously doesn't have the implications that I was thinking it could have in Week 18 with the Bears beating the Packers, because now they're locked in. The Bears are locked in. The division is still technically up for grabs. The Packers could win because of the tie. That tie ends up, it's always that weird
That's
thing.
crazy.
Either come back and bite you in the ass, or it can give you the biggest jolt at the end of the season, and you never know. Especially because I think that was like a week. Was it like a week 3 or 4 game?
Yeah, it was early.
It was
Super
pretty
early. Yeah.
And so that really screws over the Lions. It's not in their favor. The Packers do. I agree. And here's the funny thing: you were just talking about it. You're like, oh, Emmanuel Wilson came in and gave you like 6 yards a carry against the Bears, damn near. And then Malik Willis, I thought he outperformed Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I mean, he was still having a not bad game, obviously, but he made a couple bad throws. He's not as mobile. I think we have to always consider that too. And obviously when Emmanuel Wilson came in, their rushing game was a lot better. So, I mean, people are like, oh, we got so injured and you guys, oh, congratulations, you beat us. Man, your backups were playing better than your starters, whether they're banged up or not. They were playing better football than the starters were at the beginning of the game. But I think that it also goes hand in hand with they play the Ravens and then the Vikings. Both the Packers and the Lions both play the Vikings in one of their last 2 games. Now, the Vikings could be like, oh, we're just going to play spoil. I mean, they're 7-8? They're not a bad football team. Their defense is really good. Shout out to anyone who benched Jackson Dart last week. I hope you did that because that was abysmal. And I'm not saying that Jared Goff or Jordan Love / Malik Willis will do that, have that bad of a game against the Vikings. But one of these 2 teams could lose to that Minnesota team. And I hate to say it, but it might be the Packers, man. It might be the Packers, which means they have to beat the Ravens. And that's their next game. Jordan Love does not have an extra day. It's also a Saturday game. So he's not getting that 8-day recovery for concussion protocol.
Yep.
But you're also going to be without Lamar Jackson, probably. Potentially. I don't know the recent report. We probably won't get one until tomorrow. They usually come out on Wednesdays. But if you're playing Tyler Huntley, man, this could be the battle of the backups, man. Huntley versus Malik Willis.
Oh, my God.
And then if you take out Josh Jacobs, right? Now, I'm sure the Ravens will learn from their stupid use of Derrick Henry.
Oh, my God. That usage is crazy.
But it cost me the fantasy matchup, man.
That's
absolutely
crazy.
Brutal.
That's insane.
But I think they will definitely be feeding him fully with Tyler Huntley at the helm, who had won games, including a game against my Bears, man. Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, he did win that at home
when Lamar was dealing with his hamstring injuries, man. So, it's not a gimme game. I think it could be a trap game for the Packers, but I think it just depends who's starting at their quarterback. So I'm going to lean the Packers here more so because they're just in a better situation. The Lions have to win out and the Packers have to lose out. And as much as I think the Lions could win both their games, I just don't see the Packers losing both to the Ravens and the Vikings. If anything, they lose to the Ravens, but I think they take care of business against the Vikings. So I'm going to lean them, Zoo. But if you're talking about anything beyond a wild card, unless they play the Bears in the first,
they could get weird, maybe. Yeah.
In Lambeau, they could win that game, even with all their injuries, etc. I know the Bears just beat them, but it's a divisional game. Anything can happen in those games, any which way, which we've talked about with the Jaguars and Texans kind of being a very similar situation. I'm going to lean the Packers. As much as I hate to say that. But honestly, hope Week 18, Lions beat the Vikings next week, and then Week 18, they got to win, and we just crush their hopes, man. And in Soldier Field, that would just be a great way for Ben Johnson to say goodbye to Dan Campbell and say, enjoy Cancun, man. Enjoy Cancun. Oh, wow.
That would be a nightmare if the Bears had to play the Packers in the playoffs. That would be a nightmare.
That's what's going to happen. If the Packers get in, and they're not by the division, it's going to be as the 7 seed. And the Bears would likely be the 2 seed unless they lose.
I don't like that at all.
No,
I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either.
I don't like that. Playing your division, and I know it's the playoffs, and seeding is weird, but that just I'd hate to have to play a division opponent in the playoffs, especially with this season that the Bears are having. It's just that's a tough look.
They should be
But
playing the Carolina Panthers, man. It should be this
something.
record. All
Well,
4
they
teams
still
are guaranteed, but not a top 4.
Yeah, they still got the home playoff game division winner thing, which I just think it feels outdated. And I think I say that because there's a lot of divisions that are just not good, and it's just like, well, if you win the division, you get the home playoff game. It's just like, we should maybe reward the team that has won more games, but it's probably something with TV or regional stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I lean the Packers. Watching that game because I was telling people, I pretty much watched a lot of that game, and it just speaks to, again, we're talking about coaches. LaFleur knows what he's doing, and it's not by accident. Malik went out there, did what he was doing, throwing dimes, rushing. Like, it just feels like LaFleur has a game plan catered to his backup quarterback that where some could be skeptical if like, oh, this is going to work over 4 quarters. I get that. And if you make that argument, I would not say you're wrong. But I think he could scheme up a game plan, especially for the next, I guess, the Ravens. And I doubt he would have to play against the Vikings. But, I think he could scheme up a plan to where Emmanuel Wilson will be effective. He'll be able to get the ball to his playmakers. And I just think they could grind out a win. And, if LaFleur, you're kind of almost looking at this as like, yes, you would want Jordan Love, but you're almost looking at this situation like, hey, there's a chance I could show off now. Like, I can get my backup to win this crucial game on Saturday night against the Ravens and just kind of put my name up into, because if we're being honest, we don't ever mention, like, I mean, we're talking about Liam Cohen now, but like the names we kind of always go to is like McVay, Shanahan, and name whoever. And it's kind of like, LaFleur is kind of like, LaFleur, like he's a really good coach too. He's kind of like added on like that. Yeah. But I think like this could be a moment from him where if he were able to get this, and just say they do get to the playoffs, and then unfortunately people wish they beat the Bears and they get to like a divisional round, then we really got to like start. Even if they lose, we got to start being respectful of him and be like, okay, it's McVay, LaFleur, Shanahan, like he's in that realm now because he's done too many things where, yes, he hasn't been to a Super Bowl like those other guys, or even like McVay won it, but he's a darn good football coach. And in this league, when you're watching Phillip Rivers run around and throwing touchdown passes to Alec Pierce and looking at their backup situation, it's like, it does say, to me, it just shows you are locked in as a staff, and it could be a staff as well, to have 2 quarterbacks that are capable of being functional. I mean, Jordan Love obviously is a starter. He's really good, but like the backup can just come in and seamlessly play. So for that reason alone, and there's no disrespect to the Lions, because, I mean, all of their guys on offense just are stupid explosive, and if they were to get into the playoffs, they'd be a crazy matchup. But
they had to win last week. They had to win.
Yeah.
That game was insane.
That was a brutal loss.
Actually insane game.
Shout out Kenneth Gainwell. That catch was absurd. I can't get over that catch.
I was telling people, I was like, I know the Bears walk-off touchdown was crazy, but the fact that like that ended the play where it was OPI by Amaron, but like Goff got the football and got into the end zone. Like everybody was. What was funny was when I was listening to the broadcast, like they were still focused on the OPI. I was like, did anybody just see Goff like make the craziest play?
Yeah.
Like I know it was after, but it's like if there would have been no OPI, that would have been a crazy end to the game. It's just like walk off Goff catching like just.
It's like when Mariota caught his own pass in the playoffs.
Yeah,
very similar.
Against the Chiefs. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yep.
But
when he was at the time.
Yeah. So again, I lean the Packers, and I do expect them to do well this weekend and figure it out, and hopefully get to the playoffs and maybe get a rematch. So we'll definitely see about those 2 teams. But going into our best bets, Peebush, go ahead and start us off.
Tough week, man. Once again, you needed T-Law, man. I mean, you needed T-Law. He's kind of been the guy. Looking at the value, right? I mean, obviously everyone knew to kind of stay away from Josh Allen. My Joe Burrow lineups did really well. Obviously, didn't really. If you kind of had to stack him with Chase Brown though, and not many people did that. So I mean, I was on Jamar Chase had a good game, but for his price point, 23 points is never going to be enough for an $8,000 salaried player. So, it was another tough one, but Joe Burrow, man, that could be another lineup this week, man. This is a juicy fantasy matchup, man. Arizona versus Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, talking about 2 teams that have no skin in the game. Ever since announcing Jacoby Brissett as the starter, they're 0-7, man. It doesn't even matter. Like, not the Kyler would be one.
They're just having fun.
He's just having fun out there, man. Trey McBride looking like an absolute monster. finally had a quiet game, but I think they game planned for that. And Michael Wilson, man, he's going to be a very interesting player. I love seeing the end of seasons and wondering where they're going to go in fantasy drafts the next year, just based on their performance. He's going to be one of those guys where you're like, is Marvin Harrison like fully out? You know, like is Michael Wilson really going to fall to the 10th, 11th round? Probably not. You know, so there's that could be stacks to consider. The Jacoby, as well as Joe Burrow. But I'm gonna go with the guy. They're gunning for this number 1 overall seed, man. Trevor Lawrence. I'm gonna go back to it. I haven't done a lineup on the podcast as a first look lineup. Trevor Lawrence, man, against Indy. We just saw what Brock Purdy did, man. 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns, 300 plus yards. He did throw 1 pick, but unbelievable, man. And there's a couple other good games. Drake May. I just think they blow out the Jets. Randomly, a stupid game could be Shedeur versus Pittsburgh with Judkins being out. It's kind of stupid, but if you're gonna go cheap, you might as well go all in. But I'm gonna stick with T-Law. I will stack him with Jacoby Myers. I was going back and forth on him in Washington. They're about 500 different. Brian Thomas Jr. has taken a fall from grace, man. He started the year at $7K. He's at $5,100 right now.
God, he's inconsistent.
Terrible.
Yep. No.
Is he like injured or is he just that?
He had 3 targets last week. Parker and Jacoby combined for I think 19 targets or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go with Myers. I don't hate a Washington pick. I'm bringing it back though. I will put a caveat on this if Rivers starts another game or if they end up going with Anthony Richardson. But Alec Pierce, man, he's been hard to deny. He's had the great start to the season with Daniel Jones. But Alec Pierce has been the consistent guy these last, 5-6 weeks. So fairly cheap guy. I'm going to bring back with him. And to round it out, I loved what Jamar Chase was doing against the Miami Dolphins last week. I think Chris Godwin in a must-win game against the Dolphins can do the same exact thing. Those short routes, get that PPR for 5K. You can pay up for Mike Evans, man, but he's just going to be that fade guy from the inside the 5-yard line to take away a touchdown from Bucky Irving, man. Let me just tell you that right now.
He's not even the red zone guy anymore. It's
he is
Sean Tucker.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So, or either that or they run a fade on the 1-yard line to Mike Evans. They went 1 for 2 on that. So low volume for Mike Evans. It just depends if he gets those big bomb plays. And then on the running back side, I'm paying up because it's only a 9-game slate. We got 3 on Christmas and 2 Saturday night games, so you're limited a bit here. You got James Cook against Philly. We saw what the Bears did to them, but I think they learned their lesson after that game. On the vice versa side, Saquon versus Buffalo could be an interesting play. But I'm going to go with Chase Brown versus Arizona, man. Bijan Robinson just absolutely destroyed that team this past week, and I think Chase Brown has been an RB5 since week 8. He's been the RB5.
Him and Joe B revitalized his season.
Locked in, absolutely. And Genti, man, against the Giants. That's a juicy matchup, kind of a crappy game between 2 bad teams. I could see them riding off last week. I'm not trying to chase the score, but at $6,000 for a guy that can give you 30 piece, especially in the receiving game, I'm always down for that. And then I'm double tight ending, and the only reason you double tight end is if you pick one man as one of your tight ends, and that is Trey McBride against the Cincinnati Bengals. That could be an absolute feast fest. And then I'm also double stacking with Trevor Lawrence on Brenton Strange. I just think Trevor Lawrence loves it, man. We saw what Evan Ingram did there. I think Strange is going to be the future for them if he can stay healthy. And I like him at his price tag. And I kind of went cheap on the wide receivers to save up for the absolute cheat code of a defense, and that is the Patriots against the New York Jets this week.
Yep.
I will pay up for a team playing the New York Jets.
New York Jets.
No offense
to
fans.
Absolutely. I do have a Patriots team for a championship matchup, so I feel pretty good at a defensive position right there. So
it's Saints and Patriots, man. Those are the 2.
Absolutely, man. I gotta say, man, for me personally, I'm still looking at these over-unders now because I gave up the spread picks this year because I retired. I just had to retire. I just had to retire this year. Sometimes when you gotta call it quits, you gotta call it quits. So I had to retire on that, but I'm gonna continue these over-under picks. And for me personally, I see this Broncos Chiefs right now, 36.5, man.
That's
36. That's interesting. That's interesting because obviously I believe they're at a 3rd-string quarterback now. Gardner Minshew, he injured, he out. I think they just signed a guy. Yeah, I feel like this Broncos team just kind of The spread's at 13.5. 13.5. Wow, just think about that. Just
That's
think about the
college
times
level.
to change. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
if you look at this right now, like, wow. It's like a role reversal right there with the Broncos being the 12-3 team and the Chiefs being the 6-9 team, where they're at home and they're dogs, and they should be dogs. They're down the third string quarterback, and I'm just gonna smash the under. I'm just gonna continue the love of hating on these bad teams right now, because the Chiefs are now a bad team without Mahomes. Now, like, this is a bad team. Like I got Travis Kelce's checked out. He's on his podcast talking about the Chiefs over there. It's not even a we anymore. Like he's retired. He's retired and now, and I don't even blame him, because season's over. Like, what is he actually playing for? So I feel like a lot of motivation's lacking in there. I'm like we saw what happened with the Chiefs with the Titans. Like the Titans did a beat down on them, and that's probably
pretty
the worst.
crazy.
Dude, just think about that. It was a beat down, and that's like I thought the defense would be decent. I used them in fantasy. Oh Lord,
Almost screwed you.
Almost cost me, man. Almost cost me. Shout outs to the Gipster for saving my career in fantasy football, but like I think the team is kind of out. I think the coaching staff's like kind of like they know what it is. They're just waiting for the season to end right now. So like I feel like the Broncos obviously they're fighting for the number 1 overall seed, so they're gonna go for a beatdown and pure domination. So I feel like the Chiefs are not gonna score more than like 6 points. So I'm gonna smash the 36.5 under right now for me personally. So
what was yours last? Was it the Saints Jets game?
Mm-hmm.
Was that under hit?
Mm-hmm.
It was like 35. You must have been right there, dude.
And I got to shout out Chris Olave and Tyler Shook, because they're actually kind of good.
They got something to build off of for sure. They got
next year.
Yeah, they're actually kind of good.
Got
like they actually have a really nice connection. Tyler Shook, like his stats are actually pretty good. I'm like, I don't know how good he is because it's like first year playing, but he's been pretty productive, like statistically. And Olave is having a resurgent season after last year, where after all the concussions, he was like talking about retiring, pretty much thinking about retiring after all those head injuries. But he's come back and having 1,000-yard season, having multiple touchdowns. Like he's having a phenomenal year, bouncing back with a QB roulette like behind. So like, shout outs to the Saints for being. They make a little noise, just a little noise without Kamara too. So
I mean, they did beat the Panthers and the Bucks too. Like
That's
I don't know if it was consecutive weeks, but
they're not a god awful team. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's the best I can say. They're not a god awful team.
Yep.
Where the Jets, that's an atrocity.
Kellen Moore is another young coach. Maybe he has something with Tyler.
Brandon
That was the
Bell.
guy he picked, so maybe he has something going there. We'll see. Because the Saints too, normally, if they do get any synergy on offense, their defense usually is always solid.
they're always
so
always solid.
We'll see with that. But last week I feel really good. I would have felt great if I would have did money line on these picks. Steelers outright won, and then who did I have on Blake? The Panthers outright won against the Bucks. I still cashed on the money line if you are not money line, but on the spread. So if you did that, but I think the money lines were a little bit more juicier. I will say I was sweating the Panthers game because it just kind of felt like it was setting up for, not even just a tie, field goal. It just felt like Mike Evans probably would. If Mike Evans would have caught, I think that one pass, and they would have gotten to not field goal range, but like close enough range. And I was just expecting like an Ibuka, who's been struggling like crazy, but an Ibuka or Mike Evans play where that would have been a touchdown instead of a field goal. So that was a crucial win for the Panthers, and we'll see how that goes into next week because, again, there are a lot of like wacky, funky spreads because it's getting towards the end of the season. One of the first ones, though, like I just said, I was speaking about the Panthers. Got to ride this momentum, man. And the only reason why I'm picking this is because cross country. Seahawks got to go all the way to little old Charlotte. It's 7.5, Saturday night game, last home game of the season. Just kind of feels like I think the Panthers will stay within that. I don't think they get blown out because I don't know how it works, like with playoff seeding, but like maybe this helps them if they win this game. Like not even with just the division. I don't know. Maybe they have to win the division. But if some things maybe fall a certain way, maybe they can't get in. Yeah. Like I don't know if it helps them.
Division.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess you could just play for momentum then. It's like, hey, you want to end on a good note, beating them. Because I think if you do beat the Seahawks and you, let's just say, beat them by like a field goal, like it was a 3-point game this weekend, and this weekend coming up Saturday, it's a 3-point game. I think that gives you a lot of momentum going into Tampa Bay, where the Bucks are going to be fired up, but you could just kind of be like, okay, well, we still got our 2 bags. I mean, Tet, it is insane too, just really quick about how it's just flipped in terms of how Tet now is the guy you probably would want to build around versus Emeka. Because T-Mac
is a role reversal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
the thing about him that makes him special is I love the 6'4" guys who move like they're 6'1". He just moves like he's a slot receiver. Yeah, they're just super fluid, can get in and out of breaks, acrobatic catches. It just makes life easy for Bryce. And when I was watching the broadcast of that game, they were talking about how I didn't notice, but they were throwing over the summer, and Bryce was kind of urging the Panthers to draft him because of the chemistry. So that just helps Bryce immensely. And Coker, I think, is a solid number 2. So they have a pretty well balanced attack on offense. So I think they can do well with 7.5, and I think
that's a good spread
also
too.
Factoring in just the cross country flight, man. It happens. Stuff like that happens when you're going across the country. So we'll see about that. But the other one that I'm not as confident in, but kind of want to just shoot my shot on it because I like how they finished last week. People, Chicago Bears going to San Francisco +3. That means it's basically a pick 'em.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I could get ballsy and say let's just pick a money line, but I'll be safe and do a little.
You're going against, man. You're going cross country. Jesus, man. You're going.
I mean, Chicago. What is Chicago? I mean, that's like
it's a 4-hour
the best
flight.
place.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's the best place in the world to fly from, or at least in America.
That's true.
That's true. I mean, the flight will be fine. Like Caleb and them with momentum. I do think that the offense for the 49ers are for real. McCaffrey, even though he's a workforce for them. But
I'm scared.
I think.
McCaffrey.
We're going to factor in that it's the Indianapolis Colts, Phillip Rivers, the 5 touchdowns from Brock Purdy. I have a little bit more faith. I think the Bears defense is a little bit better than that. So, momentum, I think, too, like they're kind of like, I think the Bears are like, okay, we want to be number 1 seed. We want to be up here in this whole, just stay in that realm. I just like it because it's +3 on the road. I think it's a pick 'em. And to me, I feel like it feels more of a 50-50 chance because honestly, too, like we were talking about the big spreads. Like there's a lot of like, +1.5, +1.5, like Giants, Raiders, like +1.5, -1.5, like Eagles, Buffalo Bills, staying away from that one. Like it's a lot of -3s, +3s. It's not a lot of where because it's towards the end of the season, so it's like people are just kind of like I don't want to say NFL teams are giving up, but there's no like, oh, that feels like that's a good game, and I like the spread. Like even Tampa Bay, Miami, I think it's kind of weird that Miami's +5.5. I think that should be a bigger spread because I think Tampa Bay wants to get a little bit of the losing out before the Carolina comes in, but who knows? But yeah, those are 2 I'm going with
this week. I think they feast.
Yeah.
This might be
needs to get going.
Bounce back week.
Because if they do get to the playoffs, which is once they play that game next week, it's the odds of them going is pretty high because it's at home. But I mean, if they do win that game, supposedly they need to get him going because Mike. I mean, he's out there playing and he still looks kind of good, but you can just kind of tell he's kind of a little affected a little bit. And it's just like the injury. I may think the injury is affecting him, but Emeka needs to become the dude because Baker needs it. They need that as a go-to option if they're going to do anything in the playoffs. Because I like them at the beginning of the year. So, but with both of those bets, it's +257. Bears +3, Panthers +7.5.
I like that. So the spreads.
We'll see. Yeah,
the +3 is tough, man. If it was 3.5, that'd be nice.
Well, heck, just take the money line and screw it.
There you go.
I'll just do money line, see what it goes to. Let's just see real quick. If we do the money line, it's +142, +343.
Yeah.
So just get a little cash. See Caleb go on the road and make a little sad. I think it's a night game too. I'm pretty sure.
They went out, man. They could have 13 wins this year, man. That's
insane. Never would have thought.
We said this is the tough stretch of there, and they haven't lost yet, man.
Yeah, momentum is a hell of a thing. Watch us get a Jags Bears Super Bowl.
Oh my God, that'd be the weirdest Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls, man.
2 number 1 overall picks, though.
Yeah, it would be.
That'd be a good script, man.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. It's
Come on, you want Bo Nix versus Sam Darnold? Come on, man.
There's a weird. There's gonna be a bad quarterback in the Super Bowl.
I'm about to say
Stafford versus Jalen.
It's a real possibility, though. This year because of it does feel like not a changing of the guard, but it does feel like it could be a bad quarterback.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say bad, but like a mid quarterback Super Bowl.
That's the perfect word. Mid. Mm-hmm.
I think there's a real possibility
Yeah, like
because of
Jordan
just like
Love.
the team's defense is like, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But bets are coming down to the wire, man. Got a couple more weeks of this. We may do something for the playoffs betting wise. We'll see. But see how the matchups play out. But you guys make sure you tune into the podcast, Apple, Spotify. Make sure you go to our YouTube. Basically, give us a 5-star review, thumbs up, so we get algorithms. Quantro knows YouTube, Tyson Talks _ Facebook, Instagram. Putting up daily content. NFL season starting to come down to the end, so when we start to get into more like maybe miscellaneous posts about just different odd sports, basketball, of course. You know, once the new year comes up, we're maybe like in the pre-hibernation mode of March Madness. So there's a lot of things to talk about: college basketball, draft prospects, all of that. So make sure you're on Tyson Talks _ to just get the latest on all of that jazz. And for me, Zoo and P. Butch, we are